Tonight we travel back to the American Midwest at the turn of the 20th century, where in the quiet farmlands of Indiana, men seeking love and a fresh start instead found something far darker. A woman whose strength was legendary, whose charm was disarming, and whose farm would become one of the most chilling crime scenes in American history. This is the story of Hell's Belle. Belle Gunness wasn't born Belle. She entered the world on November the 11th, 1859 in rural Norway. And I'm going to really try and get her name right here. It was Brynhild Porsdatter Storseth. She was the youngest of 8 children in a hard-working family. At just 14, she was milking cows and herding cattle, saving every coin she could, chasing a dream far bigger than Selbu, which was the little town that she called home. In 1881, she boarded a ship bound for New York, and when she stepped on American soil, she left Brynhild behind. And at Castle Garden, she renamed herself Belle. Chicago was her first stop, where she joined her sister Nellie and took work as a domestic servant. And then she went on to work as a butcher's, which is kind of apt, really. I guess everybody needs experience. Belle was 5'7", but she was actually quite physically imposing due to her strength, which many people commented on when they met her, although few could have imagined what she would use that strength for. So then we get to 1884, where Belle gets married for the first time. She married a man called Mads Sorensen, and together they opened a candy store. But soon after, the shop mysteriously burnt down, and then their home burnt down too. But don't worry, insurance covered both losses. But what is horrifying is there were 2 infant children that died in that Sorensen household. Children that Belle had insured. And here's something crazy. All of her neighbours swore that she never had children, that she was never pregnant, did not have children of her own. And although nothing was proven, those rumours grew stronger and stronger within that community. Then on July the 30th, Mads himself dies. And get this, he died on the exact day when 2 overlapping life insurance policies were both active. Belle said that he just came home with a headache, and so she gave him some painkillers, and then an hour later she found him dead. Cerebral hemorrhage is what doctors said, and Belle walked away with $5,000, which was a huge amount at the time. She went on to buy a farm in Indiana, in LaPorte to be exact, and the people of LaPorte welcomed her with open arms. They saw Belle as a hard-working widow with a thriving pig farm, an asset to the community. And on April the 1st, 1902, she remarried a man called Peter Gunness. Just days after they got married, Peter's infant daughter died in Belle's care. And just 8 months after that, Peter himself suffered a huge skull injury, which resulted in his death too. Belle claimed that a meat grinder fell from a high shelf and just crushed his head, but the coroner didn't buy it. Yet somehow this case just fizzled out. And once again, Belle collected her insurance money. By now, her pattern was taking shape, but nobody could see it. In 1905, Belle started to place marriage ads across Chicago newspapers, promising a good home, a loving wife, and a prosperous farm to the right man. Men responded. Many men responded. Henry Gerholt arrived first. He wrote home about how amazing the farm was, how good his health was, and then after that letter, vanished. Belle told his family that he had travelled to Chicago with horse traders, yet she kept his trunk, his coat, and all of his belongings. And then came John Moe from Minnesota. He withdrew a large sum of cash before travelling to Belle's farm. He did reach the farm, but was never seen again after that. Although a carpenter who did some work in Belle's house did say that John Moe's trunk, along with dozens of others, was still in Belle's house. 3 years after Belle had started placing her marriage advertisements, her whole farm burnt down. This was in April 1908, and when the ashes cooled, investigators found 4 bodies. 3 of them were children, and one was the torso of a headless woman, presumed to be Belle Gunness. The port mourned the tragic mother, who newspapers reported died trying to save her children. But then, the digging began. Right, I don't even want to attempt this next name, but Google has just told me how to pronounce it, so I'm going to have to copy the accent and everything. It started with Asle Helgelin, searching for his missing brother Andrew, a man Belle had begged in letters to come to LaPorte and bring money. Helgelin arrived at the burnt farm, and he found soft, suspicious depressions in the hog pen. The first shovel hit burlap. Inside the sack was a head, 2 hands, and 2 feet. And Azel recognized his brother instantly. At this point, investigators fanned out across the property and just found grave after grave after grave. There were so many that eventually police just stopped counting. The bodies were all butchered the same way. Decapitated, limbs severed, bones smashed. Some were buried underneath the hog pen, others near outbuildings and near the lake. There were at least 11 additional victims, and probably many more. Some say as many as 40. The kindly widow was gone, and in her place stood one of the most prolific female serial killers in American history. Belle had a hired hand to help around the farm, and he was also her sometimes lover. His name was Ray Hamfir, and he was arrested for arson. He later confessed that Belle had lured men to the farm with marriage ads. She robbed them and then she murdered them. And then she asked Ray to burn her house down with her children inside. And that headless corpse, Ray swore it wasn't Belle. He claimed that she killed another woman, planted the body, and then fled before authorities could arrive. But then, in 2008, DNA tests were run on the headless body, comparing it to a sample from a letter that Belle once wrote. The results were inconclusive. The truth was just buried with time. So what do you think happened to Belle Gunness? Did she die in the fire? Or did she walk away to kill again?